Now 250,000. Now, but to get 275. High, but to get 275. 3. Now 300,000. Now 3 1/4, 325. High, but to get 3 1/4, but to get 325. Now half. Now, but to get 300.
And good morning, good afternoon, hello, from the center of the universe in Dallas, Texas, at the intersection of the LBJ Freeway and the North Dallas Tollway. Welcome to the Mike McGavel Jones Show. We're glad to have you on. Looking forward to an interesting show today. This is kind of unusual because I normally have a guest, but I've decided today will be more about what's going on in our businesses and some new businesses we're involved in. And so Travis has been very patient. My producer has been very patient in allowing me to deviate from our normal schedule. So we're going live right now, and it is later in the morning than what we normally do. We normally try to do the show at 10 o'clock. But, things happen. Life happens, so we kind of altered that just a little bit. First off, I want to talk about Worldwide College of Auctioneering. A lot of people have been asking, what's going on there. And so, we already own America's Auction Academy here in Dallas, which previously had been Texas Auction Academy. And we have owned and operated that for roughly 27 years, going back to 1993. June of 93, we graduated, 3,500 students probably in that period of time. And it is a great school. We love our school. We will continue to operate America's Auction Academy here in Dallas. We operate it within 5 minutes of where we're located right now. Actually, it sits in Addison, but nobody knows really where Addison is unless they have relatives here. So I say Dallas because if you walk across the street, you're in Dallas. So we will continue to do that, and that's been a legacy business. We love America's Auction Academy. We'll continue to operate it, and we will expand it. That is something that we're looking forward to doing. We have some other things we want to do with it. We want to make it larger, bigger, and more geographically accessible. Having said that, I'd like to clarify some things because I figure if it comes from me and people can watch it, you can get it straight from me, and it's not coming from someone else. So pardon me while I take a sip of coffee. So about 3 years ago, a gentleman named Paul Cbear from Denver, Colorado, he and I were talking on the phone. Paul Cbear is a well-known, famous auctioneer in the auction industry. He is the very first international auctioneering champion, so he's the first IAC. He has that dubious honor. He is a great auctioneer, has been a great auctioneer forever, sold tens of thousands of cars, conducted auctions all over the country, and is an icon. He's a past president of the National Auctioneer Association, and so he's done about everything you can do now. He's in the Hall of Fame, and so there's just a couple of more things he can do to wrap up his career with the National Auctioneer Association. He's very active in the industry, but he decided to talk to me about 3 years ago. We're kind of talking about what auction schools or auctioneering training programs are worth. Started out as a valuation discussion, and then it kind of went away. We didn't talk about it for a while. That was 3 years ago. About a year ago, probably less than a year ago, Paul and I started talking. He let me know, because I told him if you ever decide to sell the Worldwide College of Auctioneering, I might have an interest. And the reason that I had an interest is because I like expanding the educational base of the industry. I like being a part of anything that's good, and the Worldwide College of Auctioneering is better than good. It's great. And so I said, would you give me a heads up when you decide to offer this school for sale? Well, as it turned out, he called me and said, Mike, we're going to put the school up for sale and see what the interest is. And if you're interested, we'll be happy to talk to you about it. Well, and that started probably 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago. And, there was not a sense of urgency. I just knew that, the opportunity was there. And so we started negotiating, and that went on for some period of time, probably about 3 or 4 months. we did come to an agreement. To tell you a little bit about the school before I get into any details about what I want to talk about, the school goes back to 1933. Colonel Joe Reich started the school in 1933. He grew up in Rose Creek, Minnesota. When the school was founded, it was operating in Austin, Minnesota. It's really funny, people, when you're down here in Texas, you hear a town named Austin, or you hear Dallas, or you hear this. Seems like every state in the union has the same names. They've all got a Dallas, they've all got an Austin, they've all got a whatever, Paris. Anyway, they started it in 33. Colonel Joe Rice operated until 1974. At that time, he sold it to a couple, and that was Gordon and Eve Taylor. And lots of folks knew Gordon Taylor. I followed all this through the National Auctioneers magazine. I never went to the school. I went to a different school. And so, but you're always looking. If you're into education and you plan on doing something like this, you just naturally migrate to seeing graduation photos and advertisements and marketing and things related to it. You got to remember, back in those days, back in the 70s when I started paying attention, you really didn't have a lot of places to advertise. You had, I used to see ads for auctioneering training programs in Progressive Farmer. You would see it in a lot of rural publications, newspapers and such. And then also you would see it in the National Auctioneers magazine. So I went to auctioneering school, which is ironic that it's been 40 years. It's 40 years ago in about a week. The week after Thanksgiving is when I attended auctioneering school 40 years ago in Missouri, in Kansas City, in the stockyards. And that brings back a lot of interesting thoughts, of that time and people from my past, and how the career has been shaped by that 1 week or 2 weeks. Actually, it was 2 weeks. It was a week of the last week of November and the first week of December. And so I graduated the first week of December and then got my license in Texas the second week of January 1979. So it's been a while. Anyway, bottom line is I joined the National Auctioneers Association immediately after getting out of auction school, and I started receiving the publications. And the publications always had pictures of graduating classes from various schools. And I used to see Gordon Taylor's ads. I was not in the industry when Colonel Reich had it, but I did see Gordon Taylor's ads. He kind of coined the phrase that his graduates were tailor-made, and which you hear a lot in golf now, tailor-made. But tailor-made auctioneers went on from 1974 to actually 19 years to 1993, and they did a fine job. The third operators that came in 1993 were Bill and Susie Addis, A-D-D-I-S, and good people, and they didn't run it for as long. They did a great job, though, in running worldwide. They ran it from 1993 to 2001. At that time, the school just kept on humming out great auctioneers. The auction industry, people don't realize how big some of the classes were. In my auction school class, there were 208 in my class. That's a lot of people. And I don't really know how everybody got a great education, but I think I did recognize some of the people when we graduated that became well-known, influential auctioneers over the years. So after the third ownership group, then came Paul Cbear and Vicki L. Ginder, and they have owned it since 2001. And they have owned the school from 2001 until November 1st of this year, which was a little less than a month ago that the ownership changed. Now, my involvement after Paul and I made the deal, the question was I going to operate it by myself? Was I going to get a partner? Was I going to bring in a group? And then people were going like, what in the heck are you doing? You already own America's Auction Academy. Why don't you just expand it and go other places? And I could have done that for a lot less money. For a lot less money, I could have expanded into other marketplaces, other cities, other locations around the United States. I certainly could have done that. Worldwide has been operated out of Mason City, Iowa. Actually, the class is in Clear Lake, about a mile from the airport at Clear Lake. And a lot of people will remember Clear Lake, Iowa. The most famous thing that it's known for is the night that Buddy Holly's plane went down with the Big Bopper and the gentleman that did La Bamba. So if you remember Richie Valens, and then of course the historic story of how Waylon Jennings was involved in a coin flip that determined whether Richie would go or Waylon Jennings. And as it turned out, Waylon stayed behind and Richie took the fateful trip, and the plane crashed in a cornfield not very far from there. It's like a national historic site for anybody that's into rock and roll music or anything like that. So I learned a lot while I was there, and even at the hotel where we conduct the auction school, there's a front page cover of the newspaper there of the plane crash, and pretty graphic stuff and details and such. There's another little story that came out of this, but I'll tell it later. Anyway, bottom line is the school has operated well. They usually do 3 classes a year in Mason City, Iowa, and that's where the corporate office has been. And then they do another class in Denver, Colorado, and they've been doing that for a long time. And they have great instructors. They have great instructors that they've had for many, many years, some very well-known. I'm not going to name names because then I'm going to forget somebody and they're going to get their feelings hurt, so I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to tell you that Paul Cbear has been the face and the brand, and Vicki has been the day-to-day operations. And so when I decided to venture into this, I was sitting with my friend Craig and Angie Meyer, friends Craig and Angie Meyer. We were sitting at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Dallas, and it's kind of interesting about this in that if you're an auctioneer and you receive the Auctioneer magazine, when I became president in 2004, the cover photo of the National Auctioneer magazine was of the Hyatt Regency, and that's the big ball that's in downtown Dallas. It's the iconic landmark that people know when they see the opening of the TV show Dallas. Or if you're in Dallas, you can't miss it. It just looks like a giant golf ball on a tee, and it lights up at night, and all the sports teams use it. Whenever they win, they light up the ball. And so anyway, Christmas time, it's kind of an iconic thing. We just happened to decide we were going to have dinner. It didn't have anything to do with Worldwide College of Auctioneering. Didn't have anything to do with a whole lot of anything except, hey, let's get together. And we're sitting in there, and we're having dinner and some cocktails and just kind of enjoying the time. And I said, well, Craig, confidentially speaking, I'm thinking about considering purchasing Worldwide College of Auctioneering. And this has been about 4 months ago, maybe 5. And he said, oh, really? I said, yeah. And I said, I've got someone in mind as a partner and I did have. I had somebody I thought would be a great addition to the school. And I don't have any partners with America's Auction Academy. It is independently owned and operated, so I don't have any partners. I don't have to take direction from anybody. And after 40 years in the business, it's kind of hard to change how you do things. It's kind of, it's just hard to change your ways. However, in the early days of America's Auction Academy, I had Christy Ogle was my partner. And we were married at the time, and we started the school. That would have been in June of '93 was our first class. Then that situation changed, and Lori Jones came aboard, and we reincorporated the brand around 2002, right around there. I can't tell you exactly off the top of my head, but anyway, around 2002, she came on board and did the day-to-day operations. And, of course, she's done a fine job ever since. And so when it came time to decide what to do about Worldwide, I'm going, okay, how do I want to approach this? And so I'm sitting there with Craig. I'm telling him I've got a potential partner, and he says, well, if this individual falls out of the mix or out of the fray, I want in. And it wasn't a matter of, what's it going to cost or anything like that. It was like, I want in. And Angie was sitting there, and I said, okay. And so right then I texted my other friend, and he's a very well-known national auctioneer. Everybody knows him in the industry. Probably not the street, but people that are in the auction industry know this individual for sure. And I sent him a note, told him how much money it was going to cost. Do you want in? Do you want out? What do you think? And he said, I think I'm going to pass. And it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, because we're really good friends. And so he passed on the deal, and Craig says, I'm in. I said, okay. And so that's how the partnership began. Because people have asked other people, rumors get created and start, and it's like, why did Mike Jones need a partner? Doesn't he have the money to do it? Blah, blah, blah. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with, I like to divide the work up a little bit. I thought if I could have somebody that is very energetic, this other individual is very well known and very well respected and kind of an iconic figure right now in the auction industry. It made sense. Well, Craig and Angie are a force to be reckoned with. I've had them on my show before. They were on the Mike McGavel Jones show probably 6-8 months ago. Actually, it was a year ago. It was a year ago I had them on. And the reason that I particularly was interested in them is because I trained both of them. I trained, they're now 40-ish of age. Their kids are almost all grown. I think they've got about 4 years left with their youngest. They do many car sales a week. They both are in the auto auction business. There is a connection there that's hard to explain, but only to tell you this. In 1998, which is the year that I won the international competition in Oklahoma City, Craig came to my auction school. And Craig was 18 years old, and he already had established somewhat of a chant. He came in, and I said, we got to retool you. We got to start all over again and throw everything out that you've ever done. Because remember, he's 18. He's never been formally trained. I totally disrupted his life, and that was okay. That 1998 was a very pivotal year. Craig Meyer became a student at our school. And that same year, another individual who became a very professional auctioneer and award-winning auctioneer, Trey Galloway down in Belton, Texas. He also was about the same age, and they both have had distinguishing careers. So I wanted to kind of give a shout out to Trey Galloway. So they both came in 1998, and the reason I say that is they both became world champion auto auctioneers. And the World Auto Auctioneer Championship is owned and operated by Paul Cbear, the owner of the previous owner of Worldwide College of Auctioneering. So you see all these dots are connecting. And the worldwide, World Championship for Auto Auctioneers, which I have judged before, will be coming to Arlington, Texas. The next time it comes around, it will be held in, it won't be in Arlington, Texas. It will be held in at Mannheim, Dallas. I don't know where that Arlington came from. Freudian slip, I guess. Anyway, they will be having that competition. Craig won the competition in 2007 in Denver, Colorado. Lori and I were in Denver that day, that weekend, conducting an auction benefiting St. Jude Children's Hospital. And so we just happened to be there. We didn't make a special trip. We were in Denver. We decided to go out and watch the World Championship. Boom, I'm there. Craig wins the World Championship in 2007, and Angie and Craig together win the World Team Championship. That's where you have an auctioneer calling, and you have a ringman or a bid spotter. Now, we call them ringmen in this business. It doesn't matter whether a man or a woman, they're a ringman. A ringman is someone who fetches or takes the bids or influences the bidders to bid one more time or put the deal together. In the auto auction business, a lot of times the ringman will put the deal together with a dealer, from dealer to dealer. And we're not going to have class right now, but that's what we're talking about. So Angie was the ringman, and he was the auctioneer, and they won the team championship. So they doubled down. They got the dubious honor, and that was in 07. So you can do the math from 07 till now. Since that time, over the years, they both won the rookie championship in Texas. They both won the state championship in Texas. They have both won the Lone Star bid calling championship, and Angie just won that one about a month ago. So you see a very distinguished career between both of these young people. She's from Virginia. He's from here in Texas. Her family has owned an auto auction and been in the auction business for decades and decades. So they're a very well-known auction family. They, ironically, I was in the room when they met. the actual room at a National Auctioneers convention. We called them conventions in 2000, and that was in Norfolk, Virginia. Upon getting married, they didn't go on a honeymoon. They decided to work, and they proceeded to set up and prepare Montgomery Ward stores for auction for me. So they literally went from San Antonio to Laredo to Pharr, Texas, you name it, Brownsville, etc., all over Texas, setting up these Montgomery Ward stores, for those of you old enough to remember Montgomery Ward. And it's really funny that that's been gone now for that period of time, and a lot of people have never heard of Montgomery Ward. It's amazing how fast. It's the same situation with Sears and Kmart. They're going to be all gone, and nobody's going to remember them in 15 years, except the people who actually lived through that era. So the bottom line is, they have a work ethic that I don't see in very many people, and I certainly don't see it in this society. And so they've been rocking and rolling, and I'm very proud of these two individuals. They're very different, I'm kind of I'm a suit and tie kind of guy. Craig is not a suit and tie kind of guy. I have to remind him to wear a tie. But I was proud of him this week. They both came up to Worldwide over a week ago, not this weekend, but a week ago. So Lori made the trip up to Worldwide to get acclimated with Vicki and Paul. That was Friday. School started at noon a week ago Saturday, and it was a very good beginning of a transition. I had my car sale at Texans Canned Cars for Kids, and so I was not available last Saturday. I'd made an obligation to Notre Dame School here in Dallas, which I promised them that. Not Notre Dame, I'm sorry, Operation Kindness. I had promised Operation Kindness that I would be there for them and their event, ironically, at the Hyatt Regency, the same hotel where Craig and Angie and I put this thing together. Anyway, bottom line is there's a lot of things that connect everything related to a lot of personal relationships. And so, I did not, I'll be real honest with you, I didn't spend a lot of time making the decision on buying Worldwide. It was an instant I want it, and I want it because it is one of the top 2 or 3 greatest auction schools in the country. Been around since 1933, 40,000 trained auctioneers. Colonel Joe Reich is an icon in the industry, and it has a legacy and a history of training professional auctioneers. That is something that I am interested in, being a part of history, and I love teaching people in education. Let me tell you the hardest thing this last week. We did the auction on Saturday night, which was a fundraiser, and then I got up at 4 a.m. on Sunday morning and flew to Minneapolis, and then on to drive 2 hours or 3 hours down to Mason City, Iowa. The hardest thing for me, and almost any auctioneer is that you're going to be sitting in a classroom or a group of classrooms or monitoring classrooms or monitoring. I wanted to see the instructors. I wanted to see I wanted to see what I bought, and I wanted to see what Craig and Angie bought. So Craig and Angie popped up on Saturday afternoon, stayed Saturday night, Sunday, and I believe they left Monday afternoon or Monday night. And then Craig made the trip back over the weekend, this weekend, to be with the graduates as they graduated. And we did, where there's a transitional period, where you've got photographs that have to be done. We were excited to be a part of the graduation photo. So the November 2019 class is our first official class as the incoming ownership. Paul Cbear and Vicki Gender could not have been more gracious in the transformation and the transference from one ownership to the other. I, on the other hand, wanted to give Paul and Vicki their opportunity to say goodbyes to people. And so they had a party, and that party was the other night. Well, it was the same night as the St. Jude auction, and so we raised money for St. Jude Children's Hospital. And a lot of people that had attended the auction school over the years came to kind of show their respects. We had some champion auctioneers and local auctioneers. And when you're in the Corn Belt and you're in Iowa or Nebraska or Minnesota, all up and down that stretch, there's a lot of small town auctions and small town auctioneers and people that, they're the salt of the earth. They're the ones that pull the real wagon. They're the real members of the National Auctioneers Association and the Iowa Auctioneers Association in Nebraska, Minnesota. The numbers are made up of individuals that are dedicated, that love the auction industry, that took the time to get some formal training and go back into their communities and sell the farm equipment and sell the businesses and work with the FFA and the 4-H and help the local community. And so I'm very appreciative of the everyday auctioneer. It's great to have champion auctioneers. You need champion auctioneers. You need those people to help teach other people how to become auctioneers. And it does make careers. It made my career. In 1998, when I won the International, it gave me the opportunity to travel and go to state conventions and meet leaders of those state associations. And that gave me the opportunity to be known to where I could run for the NAA Board of Directors in 1999 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I got elected to the Board of Directors with some other great people, like Senator Dennis Cruz from Indiana and Bill Sheridan and a couple of other folks that have gone on to serve as president and vice president and board members and really make a contribution to the auction industry by serving others. You have to have a servant's heart, and if you want to be an auctioneer, you're going to have a servant's heart, and that's what we're seeing here. So at every opportunity in the last week, Paul Cbear and Vicki would extend an olive branch out to us and let us know that we were, to tell everybody that we were decent people from Texas and that, things weren't going to change a whole lot. And we were going to try to keep it as much worldwide as possible, knowing that I'm going to run America's Auction Academy the way I've always ran America's Auction Academy. And Lori Jones is going to get the benefit of knowing everybody down here at our school in Texas and then at Worldwide as well, because she has agreed to sign on and be a part of the Worldwide experience, working with initially Vicki. Vicki is officially with us until January 1. Vicki would like to retire from this, and she'd like to go do some other things, travel, spend some time with her great husband, and respect that. She's got a lot of grandkids. She'd like to spend time with grandkids and be able to do whatever she wants to do. On the other hand, I think now that Vicki and Lori have connected, it appears to me that there's a great friendship that's developed, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Vicki at Worldwide quite a bit. We have in the contract, Paul has agreed to join us for at least one day every session, so we will have the great Paul Cbear, the first international auctioneer champion and world livestock auctioneer, will be with us and bring his wisdom and how to deal with individuals and how to auction, how to do the chant. So we're very pleased and happy that he's going to join us. And like you said, our agreement is he can do it as long as he wants to, or if we would decide to make a change and do something different, we can do that. But initially, he's certainly going to be with us in February when we have our next class. As we, I really wanted them to run their class this time so that we could see how it ran, how they do their hours, how the days run, and kind of what the temperament is, and just the culture of Worldwide College of Auctioneering. Because we certainly have one in Texas at Americas. We have our culture that we created 27 years ago, and I'm very proud of the people that have attended. And so I want people to understand we're not converting Americas to Worldwide. Worldwide is a separate entity where 40,000 people have attended and great instructors have been. And we will have more great instructors. I've received emails and texts from some very, very well-known auctioneers across the United States saying, if I can ever be of help to you, congratulations. Love to help you in any capacity. And I just got one from Australia this morning from an auctioneer that I love dearly. And he sent me a note and said, hey, I'm working in Australia right now in New Zealand, but I'd love to be a part of it if I can. And I said, absolutely. We want you to be a part of it. So there's going to be some additions. And, we've got great friends that have been a part of Worldwide for a long time. Jack Hines, one of my great friends, people have seen where, a couple of years ago I took him to the Dallas Green Bay game at Lambeau Field. That was a bucket list thing. Somebody told me the other day they don't like the word bucket list. And I got to thinking about it. Right? It probably doesn't need to be a bucket list thing. It's really more of a life experience, something I want to do. And I always wanted to go to Lambeau Field and see where the great Ice Bowl was played with Lombardi and Tom Landry and all those guys. And so, been there and done that. Enjoyed my time with Jack Hines, and Jack is the longest running instructor of any auction school in the United States. He's been at Worldwide now for 53 years. Officially, with us coming in November, he became the only instructor who has ever worked for all five ownership groups for Worldwide College of Auctioneering. And so I would like to very much say a shout out to Jack Hines, because Jack is one of the people that 6 months to a year ago came to me and says Mike Jones ought to own Worldwide College of Auctioneering. So I think Jack I can honestly say Jack put the bug in my ear before everybody else did. And but here's the deal. It's just like I made a speech, not much of a speech, more of a little talk, when they introduced us a week ago, and then again over the weekend, because we wrapped up school yesterday about 12 o'clock. And my comment is, or 11 o'clock, something like that. It's not about ownership. It's about stewardship. Joe Rice started that school, and he ran that school for a long time. Gordon and Eve Taylor, and Bill and Susie Addis, and Paul Cbear and Vicki Ginder were all stewards from what Joe Rice created a long, long time ago, which was has become a historic educational facility. And so we're just stewards. So me and Craig and Angie and Lori are stewards of the Worldwide College of Auctioneering. We want it to be great. We want it to continue to be great, and provide exceptional training for future auctioneers and people who are interested in either being in the auction business or being a champion bid caller. And we know everybody can't be a champion bid caller, but you're going to be trained by champion bid callers and people that call the chant and conduct auctions on a daily basis. These are not part-time people. These are full-time folks that make a living in it. Too many times, whether it's real estate school or other types of schools, you hear about these people who train people, and they talk about all these things on how they work and how they do it and all that, but they don't do it. I've gone to many real estate classes where a person's a really good teacher, but they couldn't sell themselves out of a sack. And I think that's important to remember. If you come to Worldwide College of Auctioneering or America's Auction Academy in Dallas, Texas, you're being trained by people that do this for a living. We've made a good living at it for a long time. We've got instructors that have been there for 20, 30, 40 years. And I'm not kidding when I say you're going to get the best training possible, whether you're in Dallas or you're in Clear Lake, Mason City. We just really want to thank the folks that were in this class this last week. I really enjoyed being in the classroom. I will do a shout out. So you're seeing right now if you're watching it, I have my America's Auction Academy pin on one side with the American flag. Everybody knows I wear the American flag proudly every day, even if I don't have a jacket on, I'll put it on a knit shirt. And so then this is the new pin that was pinned on me by Paul C. And it's really hard. I'm doing everything backwards today. This is great if I can get my hand up here. Hey, there we go. There we go. The Worldwide College of Auctioneering pin. And then this pin right here, I want you to look at that. So in this particular class of 19, and we had people from all over the United States up at Mason City, Tom Allman, Allman. Tom Allman is the Mendocino. If you've ever heard the song by Willie Nelson, Mendocino County Line, that's wine country. Mendocino is north of San Francisco. It's out there near Petaluma and Santa Rosa, California, and he's the sheriff in Mendocino County, and also the coroner in Mendocino County. And got to meet him, and he was fantastic. Well, this little pin that he gives it to individuals he feels worthy, and so we're a part of the posse for Tom Allman, and I want to give a shout out to Tom today and thank him for the pen, but also the visit and the time spent. You know, we have a culture here in Dallas at America's Auction Academy that is very family. You have a new family. When you graduate, you have a new family, and they have exactly the same culture at Worldwide College of Auctioneering. It's a family, and it's a very positive experience. So I was very happy to be a part of that class. I mentioned earlier, one of the hardest things for an auctioneer to do is to sit for any period of time. And people know that my energy level is very high, and it's very hard for me to sit hour upon hour and keep my mouth shut. So I had to watch classes from last Sunday until this Sunday, and that's a long time for me to sit and do that. But I did enjoy it. I was still able to get my work done here in Texas. But it was a great experience, and I think the transition was terrific. And I think Travis, we talked about a lot of things I was going to do today on the show, and I think I'm going to stick to worldwide only today. I'm not going to venture into something else. I would like for you to pop up some photographs from this past week, and I'll let you pop up. I'll just let you pick whatever you want to put up. You might put the picture of the ownership group. I think there's one of 4 or 5 of us standing together. That's actually, I think that's the graduating class, but that's okay. People can see it, and I can't. I'm sure it's on their screen. Is that right, Travis? Okay. So as you can see, we had Jill Marie Wiles. She was an instructor at the school, and she actually did her swan song because she's written a book and she wants to do motivational speaking and travel the country and improve people's lives. She's an outstanding instructor and teacher. And then we had Tricia Brower from Kansas City. Tricia actually hangs her real estate license with our United Country office in Kansas City with Sean Terrell and those folks. But Tricia Brower does a great job. She's into real estate, but she's also into fundraising and benefit auctions, and she's also an elected official in her community. And so shout out to both of them. Craig and Angie, of course, were there, and I'm really glad that they were able to be there at the same time for our group photograph. And of course, myself, and then Paul Cbear and Vicki Gender are there. Sarah is she's our social media expert, and so she does a great job with the website, keeping information flowing on Facebook and those areas. That's her deal. Sarah's actually going to teach a course there and at America's Auction Academy. I think sometimes if you find a prize, you find a diamond, you take advantage of that. And so Sarah's going to come down and visit America's Auction Academy in January. We've got class starting in about a month, about a month and a half to 2 months. And then you see Bruce. He was a great instructor, did a fine job. I can't see all the names. But anyway, some of the students are in the second row. That's all students, and then the third row as well. And but anyway, great group of people. Not a large class, but typically November is not a large class anywhere, just because of the holidays and just things that are going on. It's a cold time of year. And then here's our group, the group picture of the new ownership team. And let me take a look. Turn around and see it. I can't see it on my screen. There we go. So you got Craig and Angie on the left, and myself, and you got Paul C. on the far left, and you got Lori to my right, and then Vicki. And so anyway, I want to remind you, if you're interested, there you go. Thank you. I can actually see it now. There's smiles on those faces, and there's smiles for a reason, guys. We're really happy to be a part of Worldwide College of Auctioneering, and I've had a lot of conversations with Paul Cbear and Vicki, and they really wanted people to take over the school that it could immediately take over without a bump in the road, not having to learn how to run a school, but actually somebody that knows how to run a school, and we're very proud of that. And I think the graduates that we've created. I was looking the other day at an ad that was in the National Auctioneer magazine, and we have the current women's international champion auctioneer came out of Dallas, Morgan Hobson from Bonham, Texas, And so, we train champion auctioneers, and we train champion auctioneers at Worldwide College. So whether a person goes to America's or Worldwide, you're going to get outstanding training. There's going to be different instructors. We're not going to import the instructors from America's Auction Academy to Worldwide, and vice versa. That's not the plan. I would also, we have the current World Auto Auction champion came out of Dallas as well, and we're proud of that. And then also the Ringman champion. So, my feeling is there are two different styles, two distinctively different styles of auctioneering schools, and but I also think that has a lot to do with geography. There's a difference in, down south in Texas, and then towards the Midwest, you have a little different culture, different style, a little more laid back. So, Dallas, Texas is not Mason City, Iowa. And so whether a person wants to attend either school, you're going to get a great foundation, and I'm very proud of that. And we're going to continue to promote the schools, and I'm not picking one school over the other. Okay, and I want to make sure everybody understands that we're not all about America's and not worried about Worldwide. We're not all about Worldwide and no longer care about America's. You can kind of compare this to any situation where a company or a group of people purchase other companies. It's no difference whether you're an auto group and you have GM over here, and then, oh, by the way, right down the street they own the Ford dealership or the Dodge dealership. We feel like we're an educational brand, and we're going to be rolling out some more. Don't be surprised if you see other educational offerings through America's Auction Academy and through Worldwide College of Auctioneering. We're going to take this to a different level. And I think we owe that to the industry. We owe that to the members of the National Auctioneer Association, the state associations, whether it's the Rural Land Institute, which is a part of NAR. Every group that we get involved in, whether it's an appraisal group or an educational group or a licensing group, NALOA, which is the National Auction Officials Licensing Law Group. They meet every year. We're a part of that. We've been members of that for probably close to 20 years, and we will continue to do so. And that's a special group of people that are in licensing in states that have licensing, or companies that are interested in licensing auctioneers across the United States. So when the laws change, we all know about it. So we support NALOA, the Licensing Officials Association, and we get on those calls when we can. I can't always make those, but I just want you to know that what we're doing, we believe, is in the best interest of educating auctioneers, and also keeping the legacy of the 40,000 graduates of Worldwide College of Auctioneering, and also the legacy of America's Auction Academy. So we're not taking anything. I'll wear my America's pin when I'm teaching in Texas, and I'll be wearing my Worldwide College of Auctioneering pin when I'm up there. And it's in spirit of cooperation. I think it's going to be great, because it's kind of like Texas and Oklahoma. I'll use that analogy. A great number of people that live in Texas attend the University Oklahoma, and also Oklahoma State University, and vice versa. A lot of folks in Oklahoma come to the University of Texas or Texas A&M University. It's kind of like recruiting for football. We're all trying to get, that Red River between Texas and Oklahoma doesn't mean a whole lot. It does to the old timers, but at the end of the day, I sell auctions here, I sell auctions there. One of the biggest auctions I ever had was in Oklahoma on some real estate up there, and I feel like that's kind of how the educational piece is. We're going to have people from Canada. We've had people from Canada come to Texas. They've had people from Canada go to Worldwide. We've had people from South Africa. They've had people from South Africa. We've had people from Ireland. They have people from Ireland. So I think it's just a choice. You pick the school you want to go to. You're going to get the greatest education offering out there, and no matter where you go, you're going to get the greatest instructors possible. And so if anybody has any questions, they're welcome to call me directly or send me an email. I'm not hard to find. My email is readily available, and you can go to our websites. If you go to Worldwide College of Auctioneering. All you have to do is you can Google it or Yahoo it, and it'll pop up. And you'll get Vicki until the end of the year. She'll be on that telephone, and we're recruiting right now for the February class. And I'll tell you right now, here's the plan. This will be good for you to know in advance. If you're listening to this and you want to go to the Worldwide College of Auctioneering, we'll have a class in February, and then we'll have a class in August. We've never done a class in August, and to my knowledge, they've never done a class in August. It will start on July the 31st. It'll be the first time in the history of Worldwide College of Auctioneering we have a predominantly August class. So July 31st, and it's going to be the dates are going to change. It will be we're going more in line with the timing schedule that we have in Dallas. It'll start on a Friday, and it's going to end on a Friday, which means that you'll get your education in. You'll only lose one weekend of your life, and you won't have to be gone for 2 weekends. And it seems to be much more efficient. We'll go in, and the days are long no matter what. When I went up, when we first started talking about worldwide schedule, they said, well, we normally start at noon on Saturday, and we wrap up noon on Sunday, roughly noon on Sunday. And I said, okay. I got to thinking about that. So, one of the first decisions that me and Craig and Angie made along with Lori was, hey, you know what? It seems to be more efficient to go Friday to Friday. And the days are maybe a little bit longer, but you know what? We're there anyway. We have nowhere else to go. And let me tell you, February in Mason City, Iowa, you don't want to go outside. And I made that comment the other day. So bottom line is we will have a class in February, and we invite you to the website, Worldwide College of Auctioneering. Also, in the meantime, we have a class getting ready to take place in Dallas, and that's going to be in January. So we have a class going to kick off here in about roughly 2 months. And so if you're interested in attending auction school at America's Auction Academy, we recommend that you go to that website. You can actually you can sign up for class, pay online, and get started. So either way, Worldwide College of Auctioneering or America's Auction Academy, the choice is yours. And Trelvis, I think, quite frankly, I think that kind of does it for us today, don't you?
I do. You gave a lot of important information, and I think anybody interested in the auction industry, this is definitely the place to be and the place to go and do your research at.
I agree. Thank you, Travis. Before I go, I want to talk about Thanksgiving just a little bit. Life changes all the time, and I have been. Everybody seems to want to tell me to slow down and take a breather and enjoy the moment. And I heard it last night. They said, Mike, you need to slow down, take it easy. Let me tell you something. When you sit for 8 days or 9 days in Mason City, Iowa, that is slowing down. And I got all the slow down I needed to, Travis. And so, I'm back in Dallas today. And in fact, when I leave here, I'm going to go meet with the fire chief or the city of Plano and talk about a fundraiser that we're going to do to fight cancer, and I'm looking forward to doing that today. And also, I'm spending time with my grandson today, Landon. This is the first time. He's 5 years old, and I will tell you, he's not been readily available to me, but he is now. And so it was really fun this morning to wake up in Dallas, Texas, and have that 5-year-old crawl into my bed and snuggle up with Papa and watch a little TV and spend some time. And so he's here at the studio, and we're going to spend the rest of the day together. And in fact, he's out of school the next 2 or 3 days, and I plan on spending that time with him as well. So when it comes to Thanksgiving and what are we thankful for, I'll tell you, I'm thankful for the opportunity to live in this country. I'm thankful that I have a way to make a living that I enjoy, that's fun. The auction industry is absolutely the greatest industry in the world, and I want to introduce more people to it. And yes, online auctions are alive and well, but live auctions are alive and well too, and we'll continue to teach people how to do that, and they're going to be experts at it. And so I'm excited about that. I'm thankful for my daughter Mackenzie, and I'm thankful for my grandson Landon, and I'm thankful for people like Trelvis that spend time with me and are patient with me and my schedule, because it is kind of insane. And I am thankful for Brittany, my assistant, and also Trent and the folks at United Strategic Client Services, for they work hard all year long, and I'm thankful that they are willing to do the things that they need to do to make me look good all the time. And I'm thankful that my mother is healthy and doing well in back home in Gainesville, Texas. Got a whole lot of other people I could say that I'm thankful for, and I won't get all into the weeds. I do want to let Vicki and Paul Cbear know that I appreciate their kindness, because they were extremely kind next week, and all the instructors and the students were super, and it was a very emotional time. I mean, there were a lot of tears yesterday as we were exiting Mason City, Iowa, for the trip back to Minneapolis and the flight back last night. And I'm thankful for my friends that I see on a regular basis here in Dallas that embrace me and treat me so well. I don't think you can ever say thank you enough. And maybe I have and maybe I haven't, but if I haven't said thank you for tuning in and watching this and being a part of my life, and all the good folks from the National Auctioneer Association, not only the leadership but the members over the years, and the Texas Auctioneers Association, I want you to know we appreciate you. So Travis, I'm going to call today from the heart of America, the center point of the universe, Dallas, Texas, Lincoln Center, at the corner of the LBJ Freeway and the North Dallas Tollway. I thank you very much for being a part of this, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. We'll have another live episode next Monday. We're going to talk about real estate next week. We're going to talk about ranches and farms in South Carolina and here in Texas, and commercial property in Red River, New Mexico. So on behalf of everyone here that's been a part of it, God bless you. Take care. Enjoy your Thanksgiving week. Be safe, and come back and see us next week. God bless. And we bid you adieu from Dallas.